Hey everyone, hope you're holding steady, especially if you're dealing with the latest ammo chaos here in California. Out on the West Coast, it feels like the rules change faster than the weather. One day you're fully within the law, and the next, some quiet regulation sneaks in, and suddenly your rights come with a higher price tag than the day before. That's exactly what happened on the 1st of July. A new rule quietly kicked in, and if you haven't bought ammo recently, it might have slipped past you. But if you have or plan to, you're definitely going to notice the difference. It may look minor on paper, but it hits right where it matters most. So today, I want to walk you through what just changed, why it's a big deal, and why this isn't only about the money, it's about whether you can even participate. Here's the deal. As of July 1st, California raised the background check fee for ammunition purchases from $1 to $5. And this isn't a one-time annual thing, it's every single transaction. So if you swing by your local shop to grab a few boxes of 9mm, 12 gauge, or 22 long rifle, you're now coughing up $5 just to run the check, even if you only buy one box. If you've been living here since 2019, this whole background check system for ammo isn't new. Back then, they sold it to us as a public safety step. Okay, maybe. But now, the Department of Justice says they need more funding to manage the system, so, once again, law-abiding gun owners are footing the bill. And that's not all. On top of that $5 background fee, California just implemented a fresh new excise tax, 11% across the board. That applies to every firearm, every round of ammo, and even parts that could be used to build a gun. This came from Assembly Bill 28, which also took effect on the 1st of July. And remember, that's added on top of the already hefty local sales tax, which can range from 7 to 10%, depending on your zip code. So let's say you're buying a $10 box of rimfire ammo at your local store. After the background check and all the taxes, you're walking out having spent somewhere between $17 and $18. And if you're someone who buys smaller amounts on a regular basis, say, a box after work or before a weekend, shoot, those extra charges add up fast. Here's the kicker. There's nothing in the current law that stops that $5 fee from creeping higher. What's $5 today could be $8 or $10 next year. And by the time you find out, you're already standing at the register. This isn't about crime prevention. It's about turning a constitutionally protected right into something you have to pay extra for again and again. Now, maybe $5 doesn't sound like much, and 11% might not seem terrible on its own. But here's the reality. Most folks aren't dropping $500 every time they go ammo shopping. Most of us, myself included, buy a box or two when we can afford it. Maybe after work, maybe on the weekend. And for shooters on a budget, retired folks, parents, folks juggling two jobs, that extra cost can be the difference between staying sharp or skipping the range altogether. One guy commented last week saying he hits the range every other weekend just to stay on point. Now he's shelling out more than $120 a year just for background check fees, and that doesn't even include the ammo, gas, or time. And here's what really burns. It's not just about money. It's about the message these rules are sending. When it becomes too expensive to buy a few boxes of ammo casually, people start panic buying. Some avoid the range, others just give up the hobby altogether. And none of that makes anyone safer. Bad actors aren't waiting in line to fill out forms or pay taxes. These rules don't stop crime. They just make it harder for responsible citizens to stay prepared, trained, and legal. It doesn't feel like safety anymore. It feels like slow-motion gatekeeping. Like they're trying to squeeze out the working-class gun owner, one transaction at a time, until only the wealthy or politically connected can afford to keep shooting. And trust me, I'm not the only one who's had enough. My social feeds have been overflowing with posts, videos, and rants from shooters all over the state. And it's not just hardcore activists or folks who've been building ARs since the 1990s. It's the average shooter range dads, new owners, weekend plinkers, all asking the same thing. How in the world did it get this far? Some are furious, and they've got every right to be. I've seen comments like, "That's it, I'm out. I'm moving out of California," or "This whole state is just a money trap." Others are leaning into dark humor, throwing around names like California or comparing the governor to European tyrants. Sure, it gets a laugh, but the frustration is dead serious. What really stands out, though, is that folks aren't crying wolf here. They're not talking about wild conspiracy theories. They're reacting to a steady drip of regulations and fees that target legal gun owners in plain sight. When you stack tax after tax, rule after rule, on something perfectly legal, it stops looking like public policy and starts looking like punishment. And so people are adjusting, at least those who can. Some are driving across state lines into Nevada or Arizona just to buy ammo without the nonsense. Others are starting to reload at home. A few are dropping serious cash to stock up and avoid getting nickel and dimed every time they stop by the store. But let's be real, not everyone has the time, space, or funds to do that. A 6-hour round trip, a reloading setup, dropping hundreds at once. That's not doable for everyone. And that's the heart of the issue. These policies don't hit everyone the same. Sure, they're technically legal, but they create a system where only the folks with extra money can keep up. And most people can see that. That's why this frustration has moved beyond feelings. People are starting to ask the big question: how is this even allowed to happen? Once you get past the frustration, what you're left with is a pretty uncomfortable truth. The government is now charging you each and every time you try to make use of your constitutional rights. This isn't a one-time registration. It's not a yearly permit. No, now you're handing over $5 every single time you buy ammunition, even if you've already passed a full firearm background check. Now ask yourself, would we ever accept this kind of treatment with any other constitutional right? Want to attend Sunday service? That'll be $5 at the door. Want to hold up a protest sign in front of City Hall? You'll need to pay a demonstration clearance fee. Thinking of posting your opinion online? Better not forget your speech surcharge. Sounds absurd, right? Because it is. The Second Amendment doesn't come with a fine print clause for folks living paycheck to paycheck. But somehow we've arrived at a point where financial pressure is being used to control something that's supposed to be protected by the highest law in the land. Luckily, groups like the California Rifle and Pistol Association and the Firearms Policy Coalition are already on this, like white on rice. They've taken the state to court before, and I've got zero doubt they'll do it again. History's on their side too. The Supreme Court has struck down laws that tried to tax newspapers and churches for the exact same reason. You cannot slap a price tag on a constitutional freedom. But here's the rub: legal battles don't move fast. Even if a judge finally tosses this law out down the road, that's still 2 full years, 24 months of higher costs, extra red tape, and law-abiding citizens being told to just wait while the courts take their sweet time. That's what really grinds gears. The state makes changes overnight, but we're left to wait years for relief. And who's caught in the middle? Regular shooters, the folks who follow the law to the letter and still end up paying the price. So let's say you're like me, still holding your ground, California. You're not moving to Idaho, and you're not ready to lawyer up. You just want to stay sharp, hit the range now and then, and not get financially punished for it. I get it, and believe me, a whole lot of other shooters feel the same way. So let's talk about what you can actually do right now. First off, cut back on how often you're making trips to the counter. I know it used to be easy to stop by the shop and grab a box of 9mm or 22 long rifle whenever you had a few bucks to spare. But with every transaction now triggering that $5 hit, it makes a lot more sense to plan ahead. Save up and buy more in one go. If you're a regular shooter, consolidate your purchases once every month or two instead of every other weekend. It's not about stockpiling, it's about avoiding fees you don't need to pay. A few local ranges have caught on too. Some are offering package deals like discounted ammunition with range time, or even waiving the background fee if you're buying and shooting in the same visit. If you're a familiar face, don't be shy. Ask what kind of perks they're offering. A lot of places are doing what they can to take care of their regulars. Now, about reloading, yeah, it gets brought up all the time, but let's be honest. Reloading isn't some magic silver bullet. It takes a good amount of time, focus, and setup. If you've got kids running around, roommates, or you're in a small apartment working long hours, it might not be realistic. But if you've got the space, a steady hand, and some patience, it can absolutely save you money, especially if you shoot a lot. Another tip: partner up. Find a friend or family member who's also a responsible gun owner. Pool your money and place one larger order every few months. As long as the person making the purchase stores the ammo and follows the law, you're cutting down on how many times that $5 fee hits your wallet. And here's something simple but powerful. Speak up. If you're at the register, shaking your head at the total, and someone else is doing the same, talk about it. Mention it to the staff. Drop a quick email to your state rep. Sign a petition. Show up when local meetings happen. You don't need to be a lawyer or a YouTuber to make noise. The reason stuff like this keeps sliding under the radar is because too many of us are too worn out to raise our voices. But that's not who we are. So sure, maybe it's just $5, just another fee, just one more piece of paperwork. But it never stays just $5, does it? That change that kicked in on the 1st of July, it's not just about ammunition. It's about shifting from rights to permissions, turning something we're supposed to be guaranteed into something we have to pay to access. One receipt at a time. It's the kind of change that never makes the front page, but still hits you in the gut every single time you pull out your wallet. Don't let this become normal. Don't shrug and say, well, that's just the way it is now. Because if we accept this, it doesn't stop, it spreads. We have to push back, not with rage, but with clarity, with strategy, with smart choices. That's how we hold the line. Appreciate you sticking with me through this. And more than that, thanks for caring. Stay aware, stay steady, and keep each other sharp.